Robservations with Meyer Burnett.
This next one comes from Mike F. Ooh. Hi, Rob, and to the Post-Geek Singularity. In this letter, we're going to play out yet again another fun interactive game that you and the viewers can participate in. Since you're an editor, what we're going to play is this. I'm going to name a film that won Best Film Editing at the Academy Awards, and you'll answer if they deserve it or not. You can also briefly explain why. The viewers can also play along through the live chat or in the comments if they're watching through the replay. Are you all ready? Here we go. Gone with the Wind. Did it deserve the Editorial Academy Award or not? I would say absolutely. First of all, its length. Gone with the Wind is never boring. Gone with the Wind. Actually, you know what? You're probably going to hear me say that a lot about the editorial on these films because editorial has changed, especially in the after the advent of MTV. But before, what great editing did was it kept a style, it kept a pace, but basically it was all about storytelling. And in the case of Gone with the Wind, that's a very, very long film, and to make that thing move and keep up that pace and keep you interested in it. Absolutely, did it deserve to win? I mean, all these movies, I'm looking at these movies, they're wildly different. Okay, your number 2 pick, From Here to Eternity. My God, a romantic war film. Yes, of course it did. You think about the images and how they're put together in that film. Again, I can't wax rhapsodic because it's been a long time since I've seen From Here to Eternity. But that was one of those movies I actually saw for the first time when I was at USC. And again, I marveled at just how good it was. I think great editing, it grabs you, it captivates you. Anybody can see the power in editing. When you start making if you edit anything, like go out and just shoot, I don't know, make a funny pet video. Go shoot your whatever animal you have. Go shoot them in the wild, or go shoot them running around your house or whatever. Try and get a bunch of different angles and close-ups and do crazy things. Then put them into some editorial software and start cutting them together. Put some music up against the images, and you'll see suddenly oh my God, I'm telling a story. Or, going from a wide shot to a very big close-up of their snout or something. Suddenly you create a moment of laughter that didn't exist before. And there's something incredibly powerful by putting these images together, and you can see, and you can teach yourself this just by cutting your own little innocuous stuff. You can suddenly see how you've created an emotional beat that did not exist 5 minutes ago. Nowhere in the universe did that emotional beat exist, but you created it by putting 2 images together. The Apartment. Well, I love The Apartment. The Apartment actually has suspense elements in it. Not suspense like killers or coming after you, but just the scenario. And again, yes, I would say absolutely. I mean, all of these films, if you go, The French Connection. You said before that, you said The Heat of the Night. Yeah, in The Heat of the Night. I mean, The Heat of the Night, very heightened emotions. You're playing on genre tropes, and there's absolutely. But again, not necessarily flashy editing. These are great. All these movies, these first 4 examples are storytelling examples, mostly. And you're keeping the pace, you're keeping the audience interested. Now, your fifth choice is The French Connection. Why did The French Connection win the Academy Award? I'm just taking – look, if this is a test trying to trap me into not knowing who won the Academy Award, I couldn't tell you that right off the top of my head, but I'm just assuming I'm going to take your word for it that these all did win the Academy Award. The French Connection. I'll tell you why The French Connection won the Best Editing Award at the Academy Awards, and rightfully so, because it did things in terms of, and I would say pretty much one scene, the car chase scene, underneath that elevated train. The fact that that the editor chose to linger on that point of view shot of the car, there were things that the French Connection did that we hadn't really seen before that literally changed the face of how car chases and action scenes were shot. It was really innovative, and plus it really put you in this visceral position. And the way they intercut between the car POV and the close-ups of Popeye Doyle driving, this was innovative stuff. No one had really ever seen it before, and again, amazing stuff to see. The Towering Inferno. Again, I think with that film, on one hand, could have been a dramatic pot boiler, but what you're doing in The Towering Inferno is you're cutting between live action, miniature, VFX shots. You're trying to put it all together. And remember, The Towering Inferno, I believe, also not only did it win for Best Editing, but it was nominated for Best Picture. And so that film obviously had an engrossing story, a lot of characters. You're doing a lot of juggling between points of view. I think that film absolutely deserved it. Raging Bull. Raging Bull is a tour de force of editing. You're going from slow motion shots to close-ups. You're using all kinds of tricks. It's no longer straightforward editing. You're using montage like it hadn't really been used like that in a major film. Raging Bull is very innovative when it comes to its editing. And I would say on one hand, yeah, you have your classical storytelling elements, but you also, the fight scenes are depicted in a very unique and unusual way. Almost there's a dreamlike quality to the cutting in that film, and it's amazing. Absolutely deserved to win. Gandhi. I would say also Gandhi, another epic, another long film that a lot more straightforward in its editing style, but one of the things that, one of the things people forget about editing, you're not just cutting scenes together, but you're drawing people in. It's the way you're using images. You're going from one image to the next. You're creating pace. You're creating a sense of style, a sense of movement. You're basically hypnotizing an audience to come into your story, come into this story through the succession of images that you're showing them. And I think Gandhi is a perfect example of a film, again, pace as well. Not only are you seducing a Western audience with a story about this man he was from the West, but he became a hero of the East in a way. And it's very seductive, and it's very well put together. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Who Framed Roger Rabbit is an amazing editorial feat because you're building a story. You had to cut that movie before it was animated. You had to have the vision to understand, okay, I'm now cutting scenes. Either I'm getting rough animation or whatever. We have to put this movie together without characters being there. And all kinds of crazy manic editorial styles are used in that film. You're going from detective noir in one moment to Looney Tunes the next. That was a very, very difficult editorial assignment, and the results speak for themselves. So I think absolutely. JFK, my God, again, another tour de force of editing. If you think of, first of all, multi-formats, before digital editing was the norm, I mean, I can't even imagine the kind of multi-formats, the quick cuts, the subliminal cuts. And JFK, again, a long movie, but the editorial, very difficult, moving in and out of the different kinds of formats, whether it's 8mm, 16mm, video, film. I mean, there's so many different things going on in JFK, and you have a rapid-fire pace, and you're jumping from different points of view, and there's so many different characters, and it could have been incoherent, but it's beautifully, beautifully done. JFK is one of those, I have to say, JFK had a lot of influence on me. I think JFK, The Doors, and Natural Born Killers, from an editorial standpoint, there's a lot to learn from those three films from Oliver Stone. Apollo 13. Again, Apollo 13, what a great, again, the editorial of that movie really ratchets up the tension once the accident has happened, the way you're cutting not just in the Apollo 13 itself, but going back to Earth and dealing with the NASA scientists and trying to fix this problem. And again, the pacing and the way the story is told, the way that how it propulsively moves, again, I love it. Black Hawk Down, a lot going on in Black Hawk Down. Again, battle sequences. There's a lot of coverage to consider in that film, and they do again a masterful. I don't know if Pietro Scalia cut that movie, but again, there's a lot going on in that film, and it could have been incoherent. Like for instance, I'll give you an example of like I think the last battle in the Transformers films is in the first Transformers. The reason the movie kind of falls apart for me at the end is because you can't tell what's going on. It's literally incoherent because what Michael Bay does is he shoots with 8 different cameras, and he does what his own website, shoot for the edit. So it's shot without intent. He just says he shoots as much as he can, and you get what you get, and you try and put it all together. There's a little bit of that with Black Hawk Down, but again, masterfully constructed, incredible battle scenes. Again, a lot of quick cutting, a lot of rhythm and technique that is unique. I think Black Hawk Down is a post Saving Private Ryan film. Took a lot from the opening scene on Normandy Beach. By the way, apparently I interchanged the title of Schindler's List and Saving Private Ryan the other day on the show. I was talking about Saving Private Ryan, but I said Schindler's List. You know what? S's, Spielberg, it was all in the brain. It was a faux pas. I apologize for that. The Aviator. Man, I love The Aviator. Scorsese's The Aviator about Howard Hughes. Again, the editorial tour de force, Thelma Schoonmaker, a tour de force of editing. Actually, I would assume she cut it because she's been cutting all of his films. And she's not even particularly enamored of making everything, all the cutting match. She'll even have jump cuts or people's cigars will move around. She doesn't care. She's a master of pace and, again, establishing shots, characterization. There's a lot of different styles of editing, a montage-y kind of a thing, juxtaposition of events. It's, again, masterful. The Born Ultimatum. Paul Greengrass's Bourne movies, to me, are a genre unto themselves. But the Born Ultimatum is, in my mind, almost a different kind of a film. There is so much cutting in that movie, and yet so much coverage. It's cut so quickly, but it's strange because you never not know where you are. The rapid rat-a-tat cutting of some of those action scenes are so fast, and there's so much coverage. A movie has to be shot in order to be cut that way. I would say absolutely. That film, when I watched that film, I was in awe. I went back and saw it again just to watch the editing. It is a masterfully conceived, beautifully edited. But again, it had to have been shot that way. That was not a case of like Michael Bay, like, we're going to shoot this with as many cameras as we can. No, you had to capture all that material properly in order to cut it that way. I think the Bourne Ultimatum and the Bourne movies themselves were part of the problem with the James Bond movie Quantum of Solace. They wanted to cut Quantum of Solace like a Bourne film, but it wasn't shot like a Bourne film, so they tried to cut it like a Bourne film, and it doesn't really work. I think that's part of the problem of Quantum of Solace. One of the many, but I think that is it. The Bourne Ultimatum is a tour de force of action editing. It's almost, again, I think they created almost a new genre with that particular film, as far as even that series goes. The Social Network. The Social Network, to my mind, is one of the most compellingly rewatchable movies I've ever seen. Between The Social Network and The Big Short, I don't care where I am in those films, I can't stop watching them. The Social Network is intercutting within scenes between different lawsuits, different depositions. You're going in and out of time, in and out of memory. It is a beautifully, beautifully cut film. It's a beautifully shot film. I love The Social Network. I think it's fantastic. But again, a difficult editorial job. Because sometimes you're going from one deposition to the other. You have to keep all of that clear and still make it exciting, and they do. It's really, really incredible. Gravity. Look, Gravity, my heart was in my throat the entire time, and part of it was because of the editing. I mean, the way the editing, that movie is just, it's all, it's verisimilitude and it's editing. I mean, of course it should have won. And It's. I mean, none of these movies shouldn't have won. I don't know what the competition was, but they all are worthy. You haven't put in any film here that I don't think deserves to win editorial. I mean, Gravity is just like, it's breathtaking, especially if you see it on a giant IMAX screen. Whiplash, again, like a drum beat, Whiplash is cut with musical virtuosity, and the cutting between the drumming and, you know, J.K. Simmons, top, all that. I mean, you feel this, the syncopation of drum playing is very much a part of the editorial in Whiplash. I can't imagine the two apart from one another. And the editing serves the story. I mean, literally, it accentuates what's going on. The editing makes you feel what it's like to play the drums, and what it feels like to have a maniacal music teacher in your company. And again, your last one, number 18, Ford v Ferrari. I mean, come on. The car racing sequences in that, a very showy editorial film, but it all works. Again, it all works. And you know, you can't not love that film. The action sequences are, again, the racing sequences are great. But editorially, it's very showy. It's very showy. And I don't necessarily like showy editing, but Ford v Ferrari, no doubt that it works. Proof is in that pudding, and that pudding is tasty. So you've given me 18 titles here. I think all of them absolutely deserved to win. So interesting game. I'll be curious to see where you take this. But I totally agree with your choices.